All right, Ambush. Today we are joined by a country singer, a songwriter who has been making a whole lot of good noise, a whole lot of good energy with that noise, and a whole lot of hype as well. Of course, today I am speaking about Peterborough native and Toronto based one Elyse Saunders, who just released a new EP, Free, which we're here to talk about today. How's it going today, Elyse?
It's going great. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Colton, for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you so very much for taking the time to join me. I love this new EP. I love the energy that you have captured inside of it. So I'm very excited to dive behind it here today. But of course, we have to start somewhere. So I would love to know, where does the actual creation process for this EP begin? Because you've been releasing sort of singles and hints of it for the last 2 years. I know you released a single in 2019 entitled Feel You Leaving, which didn't quite make it on this EP. So where exactly does this process begin for you?
So I would say that it lifted off from 2017 when I was working with a group. We were creating a song for our equestrian Olympian, Jessica Phoenix. She has an incredible backstory, and I had no idea what would come of this song other than I knew she was inspiring, and we wanted to create something anthemic and empowering for her and her story. So we did that. We had amazing experiences that came out of it. We went to LA for the ESPY Awards and sang the song to all these different sports players, which was really cool. And then DJ Danny D in Toronto picked it up and did a remix of it. And the original version is definitely more like a country rock song. And he took it to a whole other place, like an EDM market, which as a country artist, I've never been a part of. So that was really neat. It was my first song to ever go top 20. And from there, I was very inspired by that anthemic feel and how empowering it was. And I really wanted to bring that into my own world of country music. And that's where Free was inspired. But leading up to that, too, I had Feel You Leaving, which I do feel like was a turning point for this current EP and sound. So it was like a taste tester of what the EP was to come while I was working on it.
Okay, because that's one thing I definitely did want to mention too, is you can definitely sense a bit of a sound evolution there from, say, your last album that you released in 2015 with I'm On My Way. Definitely much more of a classic country feel, where this time around, there's a lot of, it's not just country and it's a lot more modern country, but you've got elements of pop, R&B, you've got so many various different things mixed inside of here.
Yeah, exactly. And my background of my past albums is definitely more of the countryside. And I've always been attracted to all kind of music, and I love all kinds of genres, no matter what the song is, as long as it's a good song. And I've always loved to sing in those different worlds too, growing up. So I feel like those past albums really captured the countryside as I was developing in my journey as an artist. And I'm On My Way was that middle ground where it was like, I'm on my way to the next point. And that's what it felt like to me. And then as I was going through this, I was like, you know what? I want to show an even bigger side to Elyse Saunders and the entertainer and the singer-songwriter, because in my development, I've spent a lot of time playing live, and I love playing live. And I played the country club scene to university college students. And I really wanted to give something that would put my own stamp on country music. So that's what I was thinking when we were going through this project. And people said that that they like that it has those peaks of different elements. And with the project being called Free, I found it was really liberating to be able to be free to explore at this point in my career and try new things and show these different sides to me and see what people really resonate with. And yeah, it's been really cool to see which songs are people's favorites, which can be something totally different from one person's to the next.
Well, everybody gets their own experience of a song and they get their own feedback from it because, of course, as songwriters, we have what we put into it, but everyone has their own interpretation, which is part of the beauty of music.
Oh yeah, I love that about songs. And I always think about that too, is when I am writing, I'm like, this could be interpreted so many different ways. So I try to keep my messages relatable, but also usually the course is pretty general so that we can all relate to those messages.
Fantastic. So, of course, you mentioned that the process truly began once you started to dive into other musical genres, once you saw the possibilities of what your music could do. So, when exactly did the recording take place? Because I know that you had the chance to work with so many incredible producers and songwriters to help put everything together here.
Totally. Yeah. It's been quite an evolution. I've been so grateful to work with so many amazing songwriters and producers, musicians. So it all takes time. I was in the middle of applying for Factor Canada when I was looking at recording the songs for this EP. So thank goodness that happened because I was able to take all of this project to new heights. And then Creative BC as well, because I spend a lot of time recording and songwriting in BC as well. So I worked with Dan Swinimer and Paul Chateau and David Wills as a duo producer team. So yeah, it's interesting how it's all come together and that I have all these people behind me. And yeah, it's been a really neat ride.
Fantastic. And it's made some really amazing music, I must say. And I would love to dive behind a couple of these tracks here. And of course, you mentioned the name of the EP, Free, and the title track, of course, the first track on the EP happens to be exactly that. Free, our first taste of this EP. So what exact freedom were you trying to capture here? Because as you say, we were young, we were wild, we were free. What moment are you trying to recapture here?
Well, it's interesting that it came out in a pandemic, which obviously when I wrote it, had no idea that it would be released during this time. So the message ended up going to another place of us all wanting freedom, of being stuck inside during this really strange time. So that was really interesting. But when we were writing it, I really wanted to kind of pay homage to my hometown of Peterborough, Ontario, where I grew up, and where times felt maybe a little simpler, and maybe feelings of being free of responsibilities. And that's just in the fact that when you're young, you're having all these new experiences for the first time and everything's so exciting. And it's a turning point where you're becoming an adult and you're figuring out who you are. And it's a really interesting time that we all go through. So I wanted to kind of tap into who I was at that time and that feeling of freedom and experiencing things for the first time and having fun. And it was like your plans were for the weekends. So I just think about my time in my career right now and how busy I am, which I'm thankful for. I love being busy. I'm very goal oriented, but I realize it's really important for me to schedule in time to stop and slow down sometimes and really just be in the moment, because that's when I feel most refreshed. I feel inspired and where I feel most free. So whatever that is for somebody, that could be going to the lake and canoeing or like going on a vacation, whatever makes somebody feel free. I think it's important that we schedule in those times to kind of remind ourselves who we are, and that will help us in a lot of different ways.
Very, very true and very important, especially in this grind orientated society that we have become. It's sometimes people don't take the time to smell the roses or even do the things that they enjoyed doing for years. And you always hear people saying, oh, well, I haven't gone fishing in so long. I haven't shot a basketball. I haven't, whatever it happens to be, right?
Totally. Yeah. And it's funny. Like I'm saying that message in my song as a reminder to myself. Cause yeah, I feel the exact same way where it's like, yeah, I haven't done this in a while. Like I really do need to get out and get some fresh air and be doing something that gives me some freedom.
Absolutely. And of course, you mentioned some getting out, getting that sunshine and some fresh air. And of course, the latest single that we had come off of this album, I believe, came to us in May of 2021 here with Sunshine State of Mind. Another very energetic track, but definitely a little bit of a different energy. So take us behind this one. What does it mean to Elyse Saunders?
Yeah, so this one has definitely that R&B vibe. I really love the groove to this one. So it was actually my first write with my co-writer TJ Simpson on this one, and we have definitely a songwriting chemistry. We hit it off right away. Sometimes that happens. I'm sure you know, as a songwriter, is like sometimes there's just those people where you're like, oh, like this is cool. I mean, you create a song so quick and you love it. So this is one of those songs. And at the time, I remember driving to his place. There was snow everywhere in Canada. We're never used to the amount of snow we get. It feels like because like summers are so short. But yeah, we had a ton of snow on the ground, and on my way there, I was thinking like, oh, like I'd love to get away. And then I just kind of thought about this concept of that we don't really actually have to go anywhere because we can't always afford to go away, or whatever circumstances, we can't always get away. But if we have the right mindset, or if we're with the right person that we love, every day can feel like paradise. So it's really about having like a sunny, positive mindset.
I really like that, where it doesn't have to be the place like you mentioned there. It can be the person and who you are around that person, who they allow you to become, that vibrant energy that they bring out of you. It's a wonderful thing.
For sure. I think it's key for anybody that we surround ourselves with the right people, because we are who we surround ourselves with, for sure.
So very important. They tell it to us when we're young and we hear it so very many times, but a lot of us don't listen.
Yeah, I'll say it again. I'm not perfect. These messages are like reminders to myself and lessons that I learn along the way. So I love when it can help somebody in some way, or bring them joy, or they can connect to it in the way that's good for them.
Fantastic. Well, I love hearing that as well. And I love seeing the reception that this EP has gotten so far on its day of release. #2 on the Canada Country iTunes charts, #11 for overall music in Canada. Plus, like, hundreds of thousands of streams across some of these singles, some of the videos, like Sunshine State of Mind, over 100,000 views. What has it been like to see all of this incredible feedback for this new EP, Free?
It's been mind-blowing because my journey has not happened overnight. I spent a lot of time honing and developing my craft over the years. So to get to this point, I feel like it makes the payoff even bigger, because I have been self-funding for so long, or developing myself for so long. So it makes all of the hard work feel like it's paid off and worth it, and exciting just to know that people are resonating with what I'm doing now. Because as a singer-songwriter, that's when we're living the dream, is when people can relate to our music and they love our music. So that's super cool. And these things I feel like are never expected. Like I always hope like, oh, like I hope this happens. But if it happens, it's like, wow, like this actually happened. And it kind of, I guess, gives myself a reminder or perspective of how far I've come when these things do happen. And it's as much as it's exciting, it is humbling at the same time. But yeah, just so cool. And yeah, it just feels like these are milestones that I'm finally reaching. So super excited about that.
Well, it's very funny how they say overnight success, and it was like, oh no, you've been grinding for over 10 years making this happen, and it's just incredible, right?
It is. And I love what I do. And I feel like this music journey is taking me on so many, I always call it like a roller coaster ride, and it's not just in music, but as I feel like personal growth through music journey, you learn so much about yourself. And I feel like I wouldn't be the same person I am today if it wasn't for music and all the experiences I've had. So, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. And especially in country, I feel like they always say it's like Nashville, for instance, it's a 10-year town. So I don't know what it is with country. It takes like, yeah, 10 years or something like that.
It's just there's a lot of lessons to be learned inside of the industry, and
For
sometimes
sure.
people, before they want to get behind you, they want to make sure that you're behind yourself. So
Exactly.
that's a process for sure, but it's a wonderful thing once it does come together. And another wonderful thing that did come together, as you mentioned earlier, your love of live music, of performing for the fans. And in September, you finally got the opportunity to return to the live stage and not just play some of these new tracks in front of people, but also create a little bit of positive change as well. So, what was it like to get back on the stage, put on the boots, and kick it?
It felt so good. Yeah, I had like these couple of like really small performances leading up to a couple of big ones where I had full sets, and it felt like a relief almost because it had been so long. And right before the pandemic, my band and I had been working really, really hard to get this super cool show worked out with some really cool, memorable moments. Because for me, it's really important that when I give a live show, I want it to be an experience for my fans. So we had did that before the pandemic. And then it's like, okay, we're back to the place we were now, whatever, 2 years, 2.5 years later. So that felt really good just to be back in that place and to be playing together again as a band family and connecting to people that way. It's like nothing else. Doing these performances through our iPhones is just not even comparable. So yeah, just to be feeling the vibrations of the music and feeling the energy of the people, that's just like no other.
It's like you mentioned, like absolutely no other real experience that can be created. It is magic. And of course, you mentioned the experience that comes with it. And of course, the video experience isn't necessarily the same, but you've been building that aspect, building that world through your YouTube, through vlogs, through taking your fans behind the scenes. And you even did a virtual EP release for this album. So what was it sort of like to change it up that way, to take it to the video form and just sort of like, rather than just playing an actual concert, to more so take it a little more worldwide?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting learning experience. And what has been cool about this time, as much as it was stressful at the beginning, um, I've found it really inspiring and interesting just to flip everything I was doing and try something brand new. And I feel like during that whole phase, there was really no rules because none of us had been in this before. So it's like, all right, well, let's try things and see what works. And I had a lot of success. And actually, I think a big reason why I've had so much success with this EP is because I've been able to fuel so much of my music through online content and connecting with people that way when I feel like we really needed connection. And music heals, and just being able to interact through video was huge. And it's actually been a lot of fun trying different things and creating vlogs and really getting into the creative process that way and putting all of my purpose into that. And then doing these music videos and bringing visions to life and just keeping busy in new ways. If I didn't have an EP during the pandemic, I would have been going crazy. So I'm so glad that I had it because it did give me so much purpose to try all these things.
Give you a little bit of something to do with all of that free time.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see it. Yeah, and it's been a silver lining to it all for sure.
Hey, well, once again, glad to see that all of that hard work is starting to pay off for you. And I'm very excited to see where it continues to take you. And I've had a blast chatting so far. I have one last question for you, Elyse. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, we have talked about the creation process, the building of this new EP over the last 4 years and trying to adapt through the last two. And what I would love to know is through this process and this time, how has it helped you grow as a person, or what has it taught you about yourself?
It's helped me grow as a person in the way I do things. I've really figured out, I guess, a flow of how I create and work together. And it's also taught me not to plan too far out because things can change. And if you do plan out and things do change, you have to be flexible and open to change. Change was not easy for me, I would say, before the pandemic. And I'm a very like I say, goal-oriented person. I would plan things. This is the way it's supposed to be, and this is the way I'm planning it to be. So when things change, and things were out of my control, that freaked me out. So being open to change and being malleable and flexible, just in my career, I think and as a person, that's taught me a lot.
Very important. Very important lesson for sure, where you have to take care of what is in your control, but sometimes there's a lot that isn't inside of our control, and we just have to do our best.
For sure. And another key thing is to always tell the people you love that you love them, because I feel like that's something as well that's been brought to the forefront, is how important family is. Family's always been so important to me, but I think that's a key thing that we could all take away from it, is to let always the people we love know that we love them.
Absolutely. It's a very important message, and you never know when our time comes or when we are called. So it's do your best to make sure that you do exactly that. Let the people you know that you love them, love
Yeah,
them. Don't be afraid. Don't be
them.
afraid to say it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why we're all afraid to say that word.
Either way, there's one way to work through that, and that's through exactly that. Saying it. And I have had a blast here chatting with you today. Elyse, thank you so much.
Thank you, Colton. Thanks so much for your platform here and sharing music with everybody.